This is the Philosopher Accountant's Philosopher Minute. You've probably heard of cryptocurrency by now, most likely through the Bitcoin brand. I've included a link to indicate how it works, but suffice to say, it's a decentralized currency. Currency is, by its nature, a philosophical measurement of power. If you had enough money that society agreed was valuable, you'd be able to get or do anything that all of humanity could accomplish. Most of our lives are predominated by social contracts and various forms of slavery, but most of that was shoved underground with the relatively new, depersonalized concepts of central banking, corporations, and government bureaus. Crypto changes the game in the world of currency because, like government in the past few hundred years, it implements democracy. The entire concept of democracy is relatively simple. The common man has the freedom to vote who will govern and administrate large-scale events pertaining to them. The ancient Greeks pontificated over democracy, and smatterings of Europe and India in the Middle Ages played with the idea of it, but it hasn't really made wide-ranging ripples in society until one fateful day in England in 1628, where they started re-examining the old-timey Magna Carta from the year 1215. Democracy is a difficult ideal to attain and maintain. In fact, the longest-standing democratic government is the United States of America, clocking in at a dismal 232 years, from 1787 until now. For comparison, the average ancient empire lasted about 350 years. The general reason why democracy doesn't seem to last is because it's decentralized and, therefore, has a security vulnerability built right into its nature. Conspiracy nuts like to meander incessantly about the perpetual power grab of government, but they fail to recognize that their fear-mongering is its own form of it. Human nature is incessantly preoccupied with finding new creative ways for people to give up their power, and the most recent iteration of it is providing security at the expense of freedom. Security and freedom are inversely correlated. If you make your home impenetrable, you won't even be able to enter the front door. On the other hand, if you give unlimited free access to your secrets, every secret will eventually stop being a secret and become public domain. We usually balance the two out without even thinking about it. Human nature keeps wanting more power or influence or legacy or whatever you want to call it. We have this desire to be over our fellow man. This isn't merely an animal desire to possess what we need and want. We want more control, more power, and more money. Cryptocurrency is the financial instrument of version of democracy, and, therefore, is subject to the reality of everything democracy stands for, both good and bad. Just recently, in early January, someone subjected Ethereum Classic to a 51% attack, which is basically hacking the system to where over half the crypto's control mechanisms are maligned to an illegitimate end. Very recently this month, probably in response, JP Chase is introducing a new cryptocurrency under their brand. A bank introducing crypto completely changes the market, but it fulfills history's time-tested pattern. The narrativized purpose of any regulating authority is, in the first place, to prevent the very human creep of power from destroying the most helpless in society, at least for the proportionally impoverished majority. Ancient empire governments promise protection from rival governments, and current governments promise safety. When those people have gained enough power, they will move to control the situation far enough that their power will stay uncontested. Most people who hear this for the first time and really internalize it are going to react quite adversely. They desire to bring down corporations, billionaires, and government officials. This misplaced passion causes more damage than good, however. Every time there's a power vacuum, something else comes in to fulfill it. So anyone in power must be regarded as the lesser of two evils, and everyone who could dethrone that power must do a risk assessment. Democracy is ruled by a strong majority unwilling to sacrifice their freedoms, but the next generation after its founding will naturally be more inclined to give up those freedoms through taking them for granted. Nowadays, most so-called democratic options are actually oppressive policies worded to placate average citizens into giving up basic human rights. This might sound hopeless, and so far everything I've told you really is. The only hope for humanity in any sense is on the individual level, educating and inspiring those around you to pursue the truth of the stories and refute the blatant lies and implications from faulty philosophies. Thanks for listening. Now go find the truth.